This is our Citizens for Change interview with the Assistant Superintendent of Valley View Schools in Arkansas. It's recognized as being one of the top schools in the state, and we're looking for ways to improve our Dayton Public Schools. My name is Kenneth Wade, and this is Mr.
Galen Taylor.
Mr. Taylor, I noticed over the last couple of years, Valley View's really taken off. It's grown at such a tremendous level. What would you say the trick to retaining good quality instructors is so you don't have that high turnover rate?
Well, I think once we find our good quality instructors, we do everything we possibly do to keep them. And that's not necessarily from a financial standpoint. You know, there's an old slogan that says, from the administrator standpoint, if you don't feed the teachers, they'll eat the students. And I truly believe that. You've got to constantly pat the teachers on the back, constantly encourage them, and constantly reinforce the fact that, hey, it's okay to take a chance. Because if you don't take chances, if you don't go out on the limb every once in a while, you're not going to change that child's learning behavior. And so, you know, you can't always go by the textbook. You know, that's just about going by the wayside. So we're constantly looking at ways in which we can strive to better the needs of our kids. So, would you say you have a high turnover rate as far as instructors go, or once they come here to Valley View, do they normally stay with Valley View for a long time? We have very few teachers who leave Valley View once they get here. The only reason they would be leaving Valley View is family relocations or something of that nature. We're constantly having people who are wanting into the Valley View system. Our pay scale is right up there with all the neighboring schools in this area, and so they're wanting into our district, number one, because the quality of students that we have, the support that they get here, and as well as the recognition they're going to have. They know that they have an opportunity to come into the system and to teach what they're being paid to do.
Okay. You know, I have a friend of our family. She lives over there in Jonesboro, and she sent her child to Nettleton Public Schools. And if you look at the success that Nettleton's had versus Valley View, it's night and day. You will see the quality of the instructors, and everything is so much better in the Valley View School than what it is in the Nettleton Public Schools. What would you say is the reason behind such the drastic difference there?
Well, you know, I want to first say I think all the school districts in the Jonesboro area do an excellent job. You know, you have to look at the demographics of the children in which we're teaching. We're very, very fortunate. We have some very good demographics of our kids that come from good homes, and that makes for a good educational setting. That's not to say that we do not have those kids who are in need as well, but we do go the extra step and the extra mile, we feel like, in order to make those kids successful.
Okay. Earlier we spoke before we started the interview about, you know, you were explaining the process there for us. Could you re-explain that a little bit again, what we were talking about before we started the interview?
Sure. About 8 years ago, you know, when our state testing came about, which is known as benchmark here, we started in the elementary grades in grades 4, and the next grade level that was going to be tested was in grade 8. Our testing results came back from the 4th grade at a very, very successful rate. First year we had them at the junior high. It wasn't so wonderful, and so the very first thing it forced me to do is to look and see exactly what was taking place. And so I, as a principal, had prior experience because I had served as a dean of students for grades K through 12, so I was in classrooms and aware of what was taking place. So I spent some time visiting with my elementary principal and discussed ways and teaching practices in which she was implementing in her particular classrooms, and asked if we could send some of my junior high teachers down and visit with her teachers. Because I knew it had been quite some time since my teachers had been in the elementary classroom, and it had probably been the last time was when either they had children or they themselves were in elementary, and things have changed dramatically. And the biggest thing I saw from a principal standpoint was the high expectations that were placed upon the children at the lower grade levels. And so I was able to talk our PTA into coming in and substitute for my regular teachers at the junior high. So we spent several days going down, witnessing what was taking place, spending the day with that elementary teacher, and it was just an eye-opening experience because they came back with a different approach because they saw for themselves in the first-hand experience that the expectations that they were placing on the junior high kids was definitely not high enough. And so we began immediately working on aligning our curriculum vertically, so making sure that it was a steadily inclined, so when that kid got to the junior high, we had higher expectations for them, and we had teaching practices that correlated with that.
That's awesome. What one thing I notice in our schools up north, there is a lack of parent-teacher involvement. What role would you say that plays in making Valley View the success that it is today?
If there's probably a top priority or a key difference between Valley View schools and other districts, that's the parent-teacher contact that we have. If you go and you look at our parent-teacher conferences, we're going to have in probably grades K through 6 at about a 98% attendance rate. Parents are going to come, they're going to check, they're going to be there with the evaluations, and they're going to go with parent-teacher conferences. If you look at some of the things that we've done, we've gone to, first of all, online lesson plans. Our lesson plans are online, and some of those lesson plans are very, very extensive. If a child happens to miss, our teachers have gone a step further in making sure that even that lesson itself is on there, so they can go back and they can see what they actually missed. We have an online grading system. We have also something new now. It's an online magazine in which this magazine basically recognizes everything that we're trying to do here at Valley View from an academic standpoint. We realized, some time ago that athletics seems to get, all the publicity, but we wanted to also be able to recognize the academic achievements. So we have an online magazine that they can go to as well. It was very interesting. Our staff just presented at the Arkansas School Board Association in Little Rock this past week. We had teachers down there showing ways in which we are involved with parents, and there were a number of ways. Our teachers, a lot of them are texting. They're on Facebook. Those things. And of course, that's probably going across the board. Everybody's probably doing that. But it's just a means that if a teacher knows they're going to miss, they can Twitter. I'm not a Twitter, yet, but we Facebook, we Twitter, we have lesson plans online, and like I said, our grades are online, and we have emails, directly emails. We have emails set up where if the kids' grades fall below a certain average, it automatically email goes to that parent and tells them, look, Johnny is, average now is 56 or 96, because we have some parents want to know if their child's grade falls below an A. And so, we can set it up however they want it to be set up.
Wow. If they would have had that system in place when I was in school, I'd probably been in a little bit more trouble at home. But
I guarantee you.
That's
we
awesome.
All would be.
One other thing, you had briefly talked about a lot of schools place such a high, level of importance on the athletic side of the house. How do you balance that?
It's interesting because I'm an ex-coach and I serve in this capacity as an athletic director, and so we feel very proud for the fact that we've been recognized academically in the last few years, but from the athletic standpoint, we have also won over 20-something state championships in the past 10 years. And so we feel like it's a wonderful balance. It's amazing. When I was a coach, I always told my kids, if you can't make it in the classroom, you can't help me out here on the court. And I think those things go hand in hand. I really and truly have always believed that they do go hand in hand. Yes, you got to have some athletic talent, but at the same time, if you use your brain in the classroom, you can use your brain out on the football field, basketball court, track field, or in those other areas.
So you're making sure that you hold the students to those standards, and if they slip below those standards, then...
We do hold them to the standards. There are a lot of school districts in Arkansas who have supplemental instruction programs, SIPs, if a kid's grades fall below a 2.0, and that's what our state requires. They have to have a 2.0 grade point average in order to participate in athletics. We do the same thing here. We do not have a supplemental instruction program. If you don't have the 2.0, you don't play. And
okay.
It's plain and simple.
Plain and simple. I like that. That's a good approach. What percentage of your students that graduate from Valley View School go on to attend college? What percentage would you say, sir?
That's a tough question. I don't have those statistics right. I would dare say we probably have at least 50 to 60% that go on to
That's
college.
Awesome. That's awesome.
Maybe a little bit higher than that.
That's one of the problems that we have up north, is the lack of students. They just look forward to school being out with and done, and then moving out of the state to get a job somewhere, and really don't give a lot of thought to the college option.
Well, I'm a little bit concerned here in Arkansas because, we're going through a period of having a new man in charge of our education department and stuff, and